Hello, my name is Alexis Jones, and I'm going to be answering the questions from the second discussion board and using the textbook, chapter 2, to support some of my answers. The first question is, how would I design my classroom space to have difficult conversations about race? I think when doing this, it's really important to keep in mind some of the different aspects that go into creating a classroom environment that is supportive of multicultural education. Something that was said in the textbook that I really want to emphasize is developing a curriculum that combats stereotypical messages. I think that this is really important, especially when talking about the prompt that was given from the textbook and that video that was circulating around. I think it's important to know about these things, know about these instances that are driven by racism, discrimination, prejudice, and hate. You need to know about these things. And I think that especially in today's times where it's happening even more in this political climate, you need to know the population of students that you serve and how this is affecting them. This next question is, what would be essential for me to do in order to set up a classroom environment for a productive, courageous, and discursive interactions? I think that we could use a prompt similar to that video. And in order to keep the conversation productive, I think that we need to keep the conversation relevant to the prompt, of course. And to keep it discursive, we need to allow students to express their feelings, express their thoughts, keep that open dialogue. And even to combat prejudice in the classroom, I think it's important to allow students, especially students of color and students that are affected by these issues, allow them to express their feelings and ask questions like, how does this make you feel? The next question is, if I knew that my students of color were upset by my white students' comments, how would I respond? If I knew that my students of color were upset by the white students' comments, I think my response would be to use it as a teachable moment. It's important to keep in mind, especially when working with students, as the textbook says, prejudice is a product of the information and values that we gather throughout our lives. And when it comes to working with children, it's important to keep in mind that they're drawing conclusions based on what it is that they think is important value-wise and what they think is important or isn't important, these different traits and characteristics based on their families, their peers, and the world around them. And as educators, we become the world around them. We're now a piece of their lives while they're in our classrooms. So I think that it would be very beneficial to use it as a teachable moment and really teach what prejudice looks like, what that means, what stereotyping is, and what it means, what it looks like, and how it can be harmful. I think that would be how I would approach that situation. The next question is, what are my fears personally about having conversations about race or other racial identities? I think that, and I think the textbook kind of supports this, that they say nothing is inherently wrong with stereotyping. Throughout your life, you, in your mind, you're busy gathering and categorizing data in the world around you. I think that if you don't have experience working with or being around different cultures, I think that maybe that could be intimidating, especially when it does come to stereotyping, because sometimes it's not something that you're meant to do with harm. And I think that especially when researching different cultures, I think it could come across as generalizing the entirety of the culture and how it is that they act and behave. Even though there's similarities, I think just upon a quick search, it's different from actually being around different people and, just having more experience with different cultures. I think that maybe that could be something that would make me fearful. So, those are my answers to the discussion board questions.